Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, me and my good friend, Mr. Uncle Ben Eller,
hey kids,
are here at Sweetwater. We are in the new music store location, and we thought it would be fun to put together the cheapest rig at Sweetwater with a little bit of a twist, Ben.
That's right, because we're not just talking about the cheapest in terms of the lowest amount of money you can spend. We're not going to send you home with a little practice amp or something like that. We're going to build your rig that you can go out and play a big old gosh dang rock show with. Something that you could actually put on stage, turn it up, and keep up with the band.
I love that. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick a couple of different guitars, amps, and a couple of pedals, and we're going to whittle them down in the studio here at Sweetwater, and we're going to let you know what we find.
And keep in mind, we're not going through used gear and stuff like that. They have a big used gear selection, but we're talking brand new products only.
That's right. So without further ado, let's go pick some stuff and then get it in the studio.
Okay. The job is finished. The deed is done. The prophecy has been fulfilled.
It has been fulfilled. So we took a walk in the warehouse. As you last saw, we have moved our picks. Now, we picked a couple of different amps, a couple of guitars, a couple of pedals, and from this pile of goodness, we are going to kind of whittle it down into one single rig that is the cheapest gigable rig that is actually functional, sounds awesome, and is of versatility.
That's right. And you got to keep in mind too, we both like to play rock guitar. We're rock guitar players. We're not gearing up for a jazz gig or anything like this. You'd probably have a drastically different setup if you're playing a country gig or something. There's no tellies or anything here. So we're kind of going from the perspective of your average rock band.
I would say so. I mean, this could cover anything from, 70s cover band stuff, ZZ Top stuff, if you wanted it to, all the way up to pretty heavy stuff. Yeah,
some of these are going to get pretty brutal if you want them to be that way. Yeah. And sometimes I do want them that way.
Sometimes, yeah. So what did we choose for the initial picks? Well, first for the guitars, I have an Epiphone Les Paul. These newer Epiphones are really great.
They're shockingly great.
We played a bunch of them in the store. Epiphone's killing it right now.
They really are. Like, all of them had really nice fretwork. A lot of these have really killer features. And again, we're kind of thinking live music in mind here. Yeah. And some of the features on this one really, really, really impressed me. It's not all that expensive. We got prices for everything down in the video description.
No.
But this thing comes straight out of the box with some features that I crave in a live guitar. It has locking tuners, for one. Obviously, tuning stability is always going to be an issue whenever you're playing live and thrashing your body around under the hot stage lights. So it's got locking tuners. It has a Tusk nut on it, which is also going to help keep it in tune.
Oh, yeah, it sure does.
Yeah, it's like stamped on the back side right there. It's got a Tusk XL nut on there.
Sure does.
Super rad. Having a hardtail, I think, is a great idea for a live guitar. From my experience with affordable guitars with complex tremolo systems, that's oftentimes not a great combination for stability in the world of live music.
Agree.
So a hardtail is going to keep everything in tune. You can beat it up. You can also change tunings really easily too. So if you're gigging with one guitar, make it work.
And it also has this wonderful upper access heel cutout.
I've never seen an Epiphone with that.
I haven't either, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the Prophecy guitars, which are more money than this guitar.
Whole lot.
This is really it.
Is it an Epiphone or is it an Epiphony?
Ooh, that's good. I don't know. Your iPhone will decide. So the next guitar we chose
is from the PRS SE line.
It's lovely.
Which has blown me away. I have one of the SE hollow bodies at home, so I've spent a lot of time playing on these things and gigging with them and stuff, and I can tell you from experience, they are great for playing live.
Yeah.
They look fantastic. They're pretty darn affordable.
Yeah.
And you got two hamburger pickups here. You got a whole three-way switch. Tremolo. It's got a kickstand, so you can just lean it up against stuff.
Love the kickstand.
Got to have that kickstand on there. Saves money on stands,
That's right?
Volume tone. Honestly, just kind of a no-frills, simple guitar that's going to take a beating and keep on riffing hard.
Rock and roll machine.
Rock and roll machine right there. Really enjoy these things a lot. So you can't lose, honestly, with anything from the SE line. The single cuts are sick. The hollow bodies are sick. Really excellent guitar. This is one of the 24 fretters too, so you can get all your meedly-meedlies in there.
I like the meedly-meedlies. So those are the two guitars that we chose. For amplifiers, we wanted as powerful as would be necessary for a full band situation.
Yeah. And let's talk about that too real quick, because I still feel like there's a lot of guitar players out there that think you have to have a 100-watt head to play a show.
You do.
Oh, you do?
No, you do, Ben.
Okay.
Anyway, and that's the video. Wrap. No, I'm just kidding. You don't need a 412. I tour with the 212.
Yeah, dude, save your back. Listen, we're old.
We are
old. Yeah. We're here to tell you, 212s are great. 112s are even better if you can get away with it. I had somebody ask me the other day if my 50-watt EVH that I use at home is enough to play gigs with.
Really?
Yeah, it's like, is 50 watts enough? Because that perception is still out there that you need a monster 100-watt head. Right. You don't. Listen, people, if you play a show at any kind of halfway decent venue, they put a microphone in front of one speaker. And if you want, you can have that coming out of the monitors in front of you if it's not loud enough.
That's right.
You don't need it. I mean, is it more fun to have a 100-watt head and a 412?
Of course it is.
Yeah, obviously. It's an extension of your power.
I was going to say your big toe, but same thing.
Same diff, honestly.
Same diff.
But you don't have to have that. So it might shock some people to be like, oh my God, you're going to gig with some of these tiny low-watt heads? Yeah,
yes.
You can.
Yes, absolutely. So let's start with the smallest.
Look at that little guy.
We thought the Micro Dark from Orange was an exceptional amplifier. It's really loud. It can be clean. It can be really dirty. And this cuts through a mix because it's an Orange and it has a lot of mids.
Yes, exactly.
It'll cut.
Yeah. And it's adorable.
It is adorable. It's very light and it's very inexpensive. It's not a lot of money at all.
No, you can fit that in the front of like any gig bag.
And you know what? If you're wearing a pair of Jinkos, you can put this in your pocket.
Ooh, that's true. And, you know, oftentimes when I play gigs, I am.
You are.
You know what I like to do? I like to pretend that it's a normal size head and I'm a giant. Ooh, little head. I'll grind your bones to make
Johnny
my
Ben
bread.
Giant. So the next head is the Friedman Mini BE head.
Now, I chose this head because it has my initials on it.
And it's actually, in fact, your signature amplifier.
Yeah, there's actually a story that goes back a long time about this. Would you like to hear it?
No.
Okay.
Not in particular.
I'll cover that later.
Yeah. Link down below in the description.
Yeah, that's a different video. Anyway, I have a Friedman BE 100 at home that I used to gig with, and I think it's probably my favorite amp that I've ever owned in my entire life.
Sure.
I love that amp so much. So then whenever I found out they were doing the BE Mini, which is essentially like the preamp pedal,
It's the preamp pedal with a solid-state Class D power section.
Come on. It's like it was made for me.
Loud and clean.
Yeah. And really, really nasty. These things just sound so cool. It's that classic hot-rodded British tone that I crave anyway.
Yeah.
So I think this would be a really fun gig for the rock shows.
And again, not a lot of money.
And not a lot of weight either.
No, it's actually hilariously light.
Very cool little amp.
Yeah.
Look forward to hearing how that thing sounds.
And then finally, the largest of the amplifiers that we selected today.
And I think the priciest.
But
not by much.
No, it is the most expensive out of the bunch, for sure. But you were getting an all-tube design, all-tube power section, preamp section, the LBX from EVH.
These things are rad. I gig regularly with the 50-watt one, like I said.
Yeah.
And the LBX heads are so rad. And the cool thing about them is other than being able to gig with them, it's also got like a low power switch on the back.
Yes.
So you can cut it down for like, getting decent tones and stuff at home without blowing the windows out.
Yeah, I've actually have done a couple of rehearsals with these.
Yeah?
Just for fun. And I have a blasting drummer, Kalen. I love you, also hate you. And with a 212, you can get the job done. More
than enough, right?
Yeah, it sounded awesome, actually.
So I'm excited to try all those out. We've also got a couple of cabs right here that we chose. Now, we could have saved money and gotten some cheaper speaker cabinets.
We could have.
But you shouldn't.
No.
You should not do that.
Do not cheap out on your cab.
The cab is the final word in how you sound. And I think a lot of guitar players misunderstand that. We'll talk about that more in some of the other videos that are going to be an extension of this as well. But I see a lot of people spending all their money on the most decked out guitar with the sickest pickups into the most expensive boutique amp. And then they make it to the speaker cabinet and they just totally try to pinch pennies.
Yeah.
And it ends up completely sabotaging their tones. Again, it's the last thing in the chain. It is the final word in how you sound. Do not skimp and buy a cheap, cruddy speaker cabinet.
No, construction matters. Quality of speakers matter. So, to that end, this EVH 112 is a huge bang for the buck. I'm a big fan of the EVH cabs myself.
Me too. I gig with the 212.
They are fantastic.
Yep.
212 and the 112s are really, really nice.
And I believe this comes with a Celestion, I think it's a G12H in there, right?
I think it is a G12H, yes.
Yeah, which is, of course, a tried and true reliable speaker. Great for heavy stuff. It's got a smooth mid-range, nice big low end, which is especially going to make these small heads sound even bigger than they are.
Yes, because in the lower wattage category, once you start turning up like the solid state Class D power section of the Friedman, it can be a little ear piercing depending on your setup and what you run it.
Exactly, right. So, these are great cabs.
And then we have an orange 112. Orange cabs, for me, are some of the most durable, roadworthy cabinets I have ever toured with.
Oh, yeah.
Myself. They're heavy, they're thick. You can literally use them to jack your car up on. Don't do that. That's a safety warning.
But you could.
But you could.
But you shouldn't.
But you shouldn't. Yeah, don't do that, kids. The orange is going to have a vintage 30 in it, and
classic
again,
speaker. Can't mess with that.
It's a classic speaker. It's loud. It's proud.
Yeah, and the great thing about a vintage 30 is they do have a very strong mid-range kind of poke to them. You know, which again, sometimes when you're playing with these smaller heads, having an aggressive mid-range can make them sound louder than they are. It makes them cut through the mix even better. So that's going to be a really great cab for some of these smaller heads that we're using.
So now we're going to talk about a couple of pedals. Now we didn't want to make a pedal board because not everyone uses pedal boards.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's a few utilitarian pedals that we felt would be comfortable in a gig setting.
Yeah, these are things I can't really gig without or don't want to at least. So, you know, we didn't do like wah pedals and chorus pedals and stuff like that. It's just the stuff that we kind of feel that we need. Yeah. And I'd say probably the biggest shocker coming from both of us is that none of them are boost pedals. There's no boosts or drives.
No overdrives.
We specifically chose amps that don't need it.
Nope.
Just to save a little bit of money. Yep. Like all of these amps, they don't really require a boost to get good tones out of.
No, and honestly, if you like, and also a boost is so, because there's a million different types of boosts, recommending one over another as far as a boost, so if you'd want a boost in this kind of a scenario, it would be up to you to choose which one you like best.
Yeah, totally.
It's just the world is so large with the boosts. So, first, noise gate.
Yeah.
Noise gate, for me, you have to have a noise gate, especially with these smaller amps, which you're typically, if you're in a band setting, you're going to be cranking the crap out of these.
Oh, yeah. And if they're high gain, they're going to get noisy. That is just the nature of the beast.
Yep. So, Ben chose the NS2. It's a classic.
The Patron. The boss.
Also, I would say this is for generally, even if you're like doing a cover band or anything like that, don't need anything super crazy tight. This is a tried and true noise gate.
Yeah, totally.
Not expensive. What is this, $100? Just over $100?
Something like that. And they're so common. And that's the thing about like going with pieces by these huge companies like Boss. I think there's a lot of like tone snobbery that you see on like social media and the forums and stuff like this. It's almost just like, ooh, you got a Boss pedal? Ooh. They're only like $50 for an SD1 and stuff.
Good enough for Prince, good enough for you and me.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
For real. There's nothing wrong with these things. Nashville dudes use them all the time.
That's true.
Working musicians use Boss pedals constantly. Hey, it's the Boss. It says it right there on the pedal.
It's the Boss.
Ain't no shame in that Patron game. Plus, if it craps out on you, somebody spills some beer on it during a show or something like that, you can find one in basically any music store across the nation, and you're right back up and running, unlike some super esoteric 1 of 10 pedal that you bought, you know?
True. So, the second noise gate we chose is the TC Sentry.
Little more expensive, but a little bit more better.
It's much more versatile than the Boss noise suppressor.
It is.
This is going to be the pedal you want if you're playing really heavy stuff, or you want to do some very specific gating for some very specific parts, because you can utilize the the tone print section to even gate specific frequency ranges if you want.
Deal with that noisy venue power.
Which is
Constant,
yes,
always a concern.
very worth it. It also has a built-in loop,
Very
which
cool.
I love.
Yeah, definitely.
So the next is going to be Ben's security blanket, as I like to
The
call it.
TC Flashback Mini. This is the Flashback 2, actually. I have a confession to make. I am Uncle Ben, and I'm addicted to sauce.
Hi, Ben.
It's good to be here. I am a real sauce boss. Like, to me, playing without some kind of delay, some kind of reverb, just something, it's just like being naked and exposed.
All the time?
In the wilderness.
All the time.
Dude, so
Do you go for something short and just real kind of like out of the way?
I like about 3 repeats and you're out.
Okay.
Nothing much.
I back it.
And again, it depends on the gig. Like if I'm
Yeah.
playing like a funk gig, no, I don't need that. But my main gig right now is playing in my hair metal tribute band, Skank Banger. Very classy. I know, just a head shake. It just makes itself happen. And we just run delay all the time on everything. Just make it saucy.
Okay.
Even rhythms and stuff.
Okay.
Just add depth, And I hate playing leads without some kind of delay. And this isn't just my choice for a cheapy board. This is on my board already. I gig with the Mini all the time. Great to save some space. It does the tone print thing, so if there's some tone prints that you like, you can put them on here and use those. It's a really, really, really great pedal that, again, I've gigged with a million times, so I know this thing cuts the mustard.
Okay. Delay. So currently we have noise gate and delay. And last but not least, sorry guys, you need a tuner.
It's not a tuner.
We chose 2 mini tuners. This I am holding is the PolyTune 3 Mini.
I love those things. Again, gigged with
Great.
those 100 times.
Great tuner. I prefer the Boss TU3 myself, but I don't require a mini. I primarily use these in the studio because
Totally.
yeah.
Yep.
So it doesn't really matter.
Nice
But
bright display, always easy to see
you
on
can see this in the
stage.
sun.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Love this. And then you have
This is the Ibanez Big Mini Chromatic Tuner. I've never gigged with this before, but I was really impressed by the features. It's got a strobe mode on it.
what?
Yeah.
Really?
And they're cheap too. They're
Okay.
like not very expensive at all. This is cheaper than that, I believe. But yeah, strobe feature, nice big bright display on there. Seems like a pretty solid pedal from the nice folks over at Ibanez.
Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to kind of talk amongst ourselves. We're going to whittle this down to a single rig. We're going to plug it in, toss a mic in front of the cab, and see how it sounds.
Yep.
Yep. We'll be right back.
Let's do it.
Okay. So we have put together what we consider the cheapest giggable rig
Yep.
here at Sweetwater, and we're going to go through why we chose what we chose.
Yeah. Why don't we start with the Gortar?
I
since
would
that's
say
what
let's start with the guitar.
you hold in your hands. We went with the Epiphone here because I just think it has a lot of features that make it more reliably giggable. Like we said in the intro, having a hardtail, it's just always going to be more reliable.
Yeah.
Change tunings and stuff. I love this neck cutaway right here. So I can get up there and play the meedly-meedlies, get the shreddy stuff, get up there all easy like. Comfy neck, the locking tuners. It's just going to be a sturdy, reliable gigging machine. And let's be honest, has anybody ever lost a gig for showing up with a Les Paul?
No.
It doesn't matter what it is.
Especially one that looks like this.
Pretty sick.
It looks fantastic.
Looks expensive. Not
and
expensive.
this is less than $700 as well.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Can't beat it.
Okay, so you're going into, there's a TC Electronic Flashback 2 Mini in the loop of this EVH, which we'll talk about in a second. You are always having the sauce on.
I have to have it. Maybe you don't have to have it, but I have to have it.
Okay, no, sauce is good. Sauce is good. It's always optional for anybody, but you prefer sauce.
I do.
You can also download Ben's preset on the Flashback if
That's
you so
right.
choose.
My
the tone print.
patented stop tone print.
That's right.
Which is going to improve the sound of like 90% of all guitar players. So
Definitely. Check that out. We're going into the PolyTune 3 Mini
yeah,
tuner. Great tuner.
the Ibanez is great.
It is good.
And again, it is a little bit cheaper. One of my favorite things about the PolyTune is the fact that you can hit the tuner button and just swipe all the strings of the guitar, and it gives you 6 little individual readouts to tell you which strings are out of tune. That is a huge time saver because I'm sure you've run into this many times where like the song finishes and your singer is like already introducing the next song.
Yeah.
And you're like, crap, am I in tune? And so that's what I love about this thing. You don't have to go string by string by string by string while your singer is sabotaging you. So I enjoy that feature of that very much.
And then finally, we settled on the TC Electronic Sentry noise gate. This thing, it has the sauce as well.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. It really, really is.
It really is.
You know, you could go cheaper, but you wouldn't want to.
You could. This is going to be tight enough to do heavy, detuned, extended range stuff.
Brutal stuff, yeah.
Rock and roll stuff. Anything you want to do with a gate, this has it in spades. It has the traditional gate, which is what we're on now. You can also do a custom tone print, or you can do kind of a halfway in between and just reduce the hiss as well. Again, we have this on the traditional gate function, but you can do anything with it, especially with the loop.
And the metal casing and stuff means that it's very gig worthy. You know, again, I've done many gigs of TC stuff. I've had every sort of fluid imaginable spilled upon my pedals, and they just keep going.
More on that later. And then the amp, no surprise, this is the most expensive out of the three that we have, but the EVH LBX, it has the goods.
Dude, whenever we turned this thing on and I started playing through it, I was immediately like, dude, what do you even have the volume on? This is what I gig at with 100-watt heads. And you had the volume
I had that at
less than halfway.
Yeah,
like,
about half before 1, so 0.5.
Yeah, it's kind of insane, actually.
It's really, really crazy good.
More than enough.
I would note that with the blue and the red channel, you don't have a dedicated clean channel.
Thank God. What? Do you want the crowd to stop rocking? Do you want them to fall asleep?
Right.
What
Again, this is for a rock gig.
Yeah.
If you needed a clean channel, it would easily clean up.
It is pretty responsive, like especially if you're on the blue channel, which is the lower gain channel, but still
right now.
A lot of gain. You can still roll the volume knob down and play a little bit lighter and get, you know, clean enough for rock and roll, you know?
So I have the gain just under half. What does this sound like?
Okay,
Blue
so
channel.
with the blue channel all the way up, we get this. Come on.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
EQ at noon.
Everything's at noon.
Everything's at noon.
Set it and forget it, Ron Popeil style. And again, if I back that volume knob down, clean enough.
And you are on a Les Paul, so you could turn down the neck pickup volume
That
and
too.
use that as a channel switch.
Kind of get that instant sort of clean tone. Cleaner tone.
Cleaner.
Have the bridge pick up super rocking.
Right.
It always works. It's good for that. And again, the blue channel, you can start at like AC/DC crunch if you turn the gain down low enough. But with it wound up, it's getting more into those modern Eddie Van Halen sounds.
Yeah.
You know? And then the red channel, holy cow. It's just absolutely punishing.
Yep. We're both doing stank faces.
The last time that I heard something that mean come out of something so small is when I loaded the dishwasher wrong at home and my wife got on to me.
Ooh,
Love you,
wow. So really, this rig, we feel like it's just the complete gig rig.
Seriously.
It's the cheapest giggable rig that we felt a working pro musician could play shows with every weekend and have reliability, functionality,
Volume, power.
and portability.
Yeah. It's also still kind of cute.
It is kind of cute. This entire rig costs about $1,500. I will put the total price down below on the screen. About $1,500 for all of this.
Yeah. And maybe there's some pieces you don't need. Not everybody needs a delay.
Of course.
Maybe you already have a guitar, whatever.
This is really meant as a starting point for your own rig. However, this is pretty good.
I could totally go out and do some skank banging shows with this thing, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Easy.
Actually, I would love to have one of these as even a backup. Make a great backup for like your super nice rig, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Love it.
Definitely.
Killer
All
little
right.
setup.
So I will link down below to all of this stuff in the description, and head on over to Ben's channel to hear a little comparison between this and the most expensive rig on Sweetwater. And with that, we're gonna get out of here. You've been wonderful, Ivan Fluff.
I've been Uncle Ben.
He's been Uncle Ben. And with that, we're gonna get out of here. Fluff out.
Bye-bye.
If you liked the video you just watched, please consider subscribing. And if you want to further support me and what I do, consider using some of the affiliate links down below in the description. of this video. Go on over to Sweetwater, buy yourself something, and help me out at the same time. It's a win-win for both of us.